Are you ready to know the truth?
You can't handle the truth.
Okay, everybody, what you see before you is the very odd activity that has been going on in the Vatican. It's actually been going on for quite some time. We tried to decode the Vatican nativity scene. We're not going to be talking about the nativity scene here in this video. I just wanted to show you some of the odd goings on at the Vatican. What we're actually going to be doing here in this video is we're going to be analyzing a car commercial, a automaker that we have covered in other videos, Alfa Romeo. But what we want to do is we want to prove exactly who the Vatican is actually venerating. And I've already covered that extensively in videos as well. So before we get to the car commercial, let's take a look at just some of the things that I have reported on in the past. Lest you've forgotten, I need to just do this one more time so you understand that the God Enki, the biblical Cain, Shamash, Ra, Helios, Sol are Saturn. Okay? The black star. Important that you get that through now. We're going to tie Enki into a unicorn apocalypse Samsung commercial. You guys remember that? And you remember what Tim Burton said in that commercial? And you remember, here's Enki right here, and here is the unicorn goat right here. Right there. And since we were just talking about about Cronus, Saturn, who is Cain, is there any evidence to tell us that the god Saturn, Enki, was actually the god of the Jews? Isn't it interesting that there's a flood story in the Bible talking about how this god of the Jews had I don't know if you want to say that he appeared, but he alerted Noah to the fact that there was going to be a flood and he needed to save his family and animals. If we take a look at all of the other tablets, whether it be what's the ones I'm thinking of? Gilgamesh, the Epic of Gilgamesh, whether we're talking about the story of Atrahasis, whether we're talking about the tablets of Ziad-Zudra, whether we're talking about the what Berosus wrote, how Cronus, that's right, Cronus is Saturn, because remember, Cronus is the Greek god, and Saturn is his equivalent in the Roman pantheon. Saturn is the Roman god, sun god, and Cronus is the Greek sun god. So is there evidence that this Cronus, who alerted, according to Berosus, he alerted Xisuthros of a flood? So what we're getting the idea here is that Saturn Cronus is the same as Enki, as the same as the god of the Jews, because they're all telling the exact same story. Different god names, but they're all one and the same. In their extensive study on the imagery and meaning of the melancholic Saturn, Klebansky, let's just forego the names here, shall we? Touch only indirectly upon one significant aspect or transformation of the ancient planetary deity, the interrelationship and even identification between Saturn and the Jews. They note that St. Augustine considered Saturn a god of the Jews and also quote two texts in which their connection is explicit. So what I'm telling you is that Saturn was indeed the god of the Jews. And as I've already pointed out, since Baal, the Canaanite tablets, he was the son of El. Baal is Osiris. Osiris's father is Ra. As I've already pointed out, Ra, Saturn, Cronus, Enki, El are all one and the same. So El was indeed the god of the Jews. And there are also other things that I've pointed out in other videos to show that ancient historians called El, they called him El Kronos. Why? Because indeed, L was Cronus. He was Saturn. He was Ra, and he was Enki. And here is just some of the proof of that relates the Jews and the god Saturn. Okay. I got this started right at the right spot here. The Chronicles of Cain Enki, Part 2. So let's take a look at the Vatican real quick and look at this celestial wheel that's right here with the phallic symbol of the obelisk right here in the middle. But this celestial wheel right here, where does it come from? Where does this study it? Study it real good. You got it studied? Let's take a look. Did you study it nice and hard? Is the same pattern as this celestial wheel right here, the sun disk. And as I've already pointed out, that this individual right here, Shamash, is none other than Enki, Saturn, Cronus, Ra, El. And here is the sun disk, or the celestial wheel right here. Let's take a look closer. You see it? Do you see the sun disk right there? Let's bring it up again. Study it. See it? Okay, so let's take a look. For all of you watching this, you guys have seen other videos where I've actually overlaid the sun disk right here, and you know that it fits perfectly right here on the Vatican. So as in the introduction to this video, I talked about how the Vatican is up to some very nefarious activity, but as you can see, this symbol has been here for a very, very long time, and they know exactly what this goes to. But let's keep listening. Yet the original reading is not Kronos, but Helios. Who was Helios? That's right, none other than Ra. That's why you see the Statue of Liberty, which is the god Helios that oversees New York, right? Which is to say that the original text gave the name Helios to Saturn. But later copyists who could not believe that Helios was anything other than the sun corrected the reading to Kronos. Certain wise men of India often asserted that the true sun, Brahma, the central light of heaven, was none other than Saturn. This in turn reminded us of rarely noted teachings of the alchemists, preservers of so many ancient mysteries. The planet Saturn, they recalled, was not just a planet, it was the best sun. Among the Assyrians and Babylonians, the sun god par excellence was the well-known figure Shamash. He is shown holding or turning a great celestial wheel. In the 19th century, the pioneering archaeologist and historian George Rawlinson, noting that Shamash was repeatedly associated with the planet Saturn, put an exclamation point to the mystery. How is it possible, Rawlinson asked, that the dark and distant planet Saturn can answer to the luminary who irradiates the nations like the sun, the light of the gods? In 1909, the leading expert Morris Jastrow brought this anomaly to the attention of others in a fascinating article entitled Sun and Saturn. According to Jastrow, Babylonian astrological texts could not have presented the equation of Saturn and the sun more boldly. The planet Saturn is Shamash, they say. Saturn is Enki. Saturn is Cain. Saturn is Kronos. They are all El. Starting to get it now? Who does the Vatican worship then? So, as I already showed you about the Shamash being none other than Enki, Ra, Cronus, Saturn, El, Cain. And this is from the Vatican. This is this building that's shaped just like a serpent. Very, very interesting, isn't it? Okay, so now let's take a look at all the pictures I have here. This is whatever this alien-looking being that overlooks the Pope in the Vatican, and we know they're in the Vatican because this is the Swiss Guard right here. These are the only soldiers that are tasked with the protection of the Pope, the Swiss Guard. Here they are. And you guys will remember, you guys remember the movie Noah and how this this serpent was just kept being presented in the movie. It was being presented for a reason, folks. It was being presented for a reason. Inky? Do you remember how Inky was presented in the Sumerian tablets as being partly human and partly serpent? It was actually the Babylonian tablets, as a matter of fact. And here is the what I want to call a plumed serpent. It looks like a serpent with feathers. And where have we seen that? And here's the Pope right here. Quetzalcoatl. Does Quetzalcoatl come to mind? But it's interesting because Quetzalcoatl is Osiris, right? He's none other than Osiris. But we do have the plumed serpent here. Okay. So this right here. God, you know what? I'm kind of torn. Okay, so this looks like goat horns right here. This looks like some kind of Baphometic type symbol here. But do you guys remember we were talking about the Hoover Dam? You guys remember that? And doesn't this look like the guy who was like got his arms spread out, the one who's in the water, like what was the Chiefs or whatever? I can't remember what the plaque says. But it was talking about how the men who had lost their lives building the Hoover Dam, and it had this guy raised out of the water, and he had his hands outstretched. You guys remember that? That's what it reminds me of right there. But this is also at the Vatican. Okay, and here's just a little bit of closer up of, and you can see that right here. Very, very strange indeed. Of course, Shamash wheel. We talked about that in my video that I showed you. The Pope speaks from the mouth of the snake. Okay. And as you can see, when you look at this very closely, you can see the fangs. You can see the tongue. You can see the eyes. You can see the snake skin. So most definitely some weird stuff going on at the Vatican. Now, you guys heard about the Brotherhood of the Snake? Anybody heard about that at all? Through fire and ice, through famine and disaster, we serve the serpent, our one true master. We conspire by day, advance by night. No human being shall evade our might. Secret societies have been present in the history of man for a very long time. It all started thousands of years ago with the Brotherhood of the Snake, a secret society set up by an alien named Ea or Enki. This story is very carefully told in the Sumerian scriptures. Okay. More symbolism in the movie Noah. You remember how this shed serpent skin or snake skin had kind of brightened up when Noah was touching it with his finger? Very interesting. But so what we want to do is since really what my whole intent was with this video was to bring to you a car commercial. I know, an Alfa Romeo car commercial. So what we want to do is since we're talking about the Vatican here, since we're showing all of the odd activities going on with the Vatican, with the serpent building, with the nativity scene, with the whole the phallic obelisk in the middle of St. Peter's Square or whatever it is right there, with the Shamash wheel. If you guys have not seen my videos where I overlaid the Shamash wheel onto the Vatican circle right there, you will see that it lines up completely perfectly. Even with the round circle in the middle where the obelisk rests, there is a round circle right there, and the Shamash wheel fits perfectly with that as well. So now, since we're talking about Romeo, Alfa Romeo, do you guys remember all that I said about the bloodlines? You remember I said about Alpha and the A, the B, and the O blood types. Okay, so understand this. My position is that according to the Sumerian tablets, and no, we're not going by what Zechariah Sitchin says, because Zechariah Sitchin told so many half-truths and a whole bunch of lies. But the thing is that does ring true according to other people who have studied the Sumerian tablets is this, is that there are three different stories of creation. One is that the Ajiji gods rebelled, and Anzu, the leader who actually stole the tablets of destiny from Enlil, he was captured by Marduk, he was put to death, and they created the slave labor mankind to toil for the gods, for the Anunnaki. So the Anunnaki obviously is one completely different, is their own line. They're the Alpha, the Anunnaki, the Alpha Draconis bloodline. It is my belief that the B blood type is the humans' slave labor that was created. So Anzu, the leader of the Ajiji gods, was slaughtered, according to the story, and he was used to create the beta humans, or the B blood type. Beta humans, the very starting of humankind. Now, so the story goes is that Enki, without the approval of his brother Enlil, decides that he is going to create a wise human, or a Utnapishtim, or a Ziazudra, or what exactly Atrahasis means. I do believe it was Ziazudra. I do believe Ziazudra means wise human. Okay, so he wanted to make smarter humans than what was first created to be the slave labor. They were supposed to be nothing but slaves. They weren't supposed to procreate. They were supposed to just toil for the gods, because the Ajiji didn't want to do it anymore. They rebelled, remember? Okay, so now we have a third blood type. Who is the third blood type? It's the Omega, the Ajiji blood type, the blood type that was used to create the beta humans. And what is interesting is, because the O blood type was used to create the beta humans, and Enki went behind his brother's back and took the beta human, and he started to he took the embryos, or whatever it was, and he stuck them in 7 Anunnaki goddesses, creating the very 4th blood type that is possible. Do you guys remember that? That is how the AB blood type was created, and it is the very most rarest blood type there is. AB. Yes. So now we see, when Enki secretly went behind his brother's back and took the beta human blood type and stuck him in the 7 Anunnaki goddesses, he created the 4th possible blood type, the AB. So, if you understand now that the Alpha Draconis bloodline, or the Anunnaki, is the A blood type, and that the very first humans that were created was the B blood type, and that the Ajiji was the O blood type, and as I've already pointed out, that Marduk was indeed Abraxas. And what was known about Abraxas according to the Knights Templar tokens, or the coins, the medallions that they had? Do you remember the Templi Secreti coins, and how it had Abraxas on the coins, and it said IAO? I am the Alpha and the Omega. Enki had sexual relations with one Ajiji goddess named Damkina. This is according to the tablets. The very first child that Enki had was Marduk. And because the children took after the bloodline of their mother, it is shown in all of all of the scholarly documents that Marduk was an Ajiji god. Well, how could this be? Enki, his father, was Anunnaki. Well, he was a Gigi because his mother, Damkina, was an Agigi goddess. So when Abraxas is none other than Marduk, Abraxas is none other than Osiris. He's none other than Baal, none other than Enoch. So Zeus and Jupiter as well. So understand that when Abraxas says, I am the Alpha and the Omega, he is the Alpha blood type and I'm the Omega blood type. Why? Because my father was Alpha Draconis, because my mother was, what was she? Was she, does the Agidi, do they come from, the constellation Orion? Is that why there is this O, or this, again, remember Osiris is associated, as I told you, he's Marduk. He is associated with the constellation Orion. If Marduk takes after his mother, then it's almost assuredly that the Agigi are actually from the constellation Orion. Okay, that's my belief. That's how I'm presenting this. So, now that we have this completely understood, let us look at Enki's bloodline, the Alpha blood type. Okay, so now that I've just explained my whole research has led me about blood types, now we want to look at the Alfa Romeo commercial. And because we have just peered into the goings-on of the Vatican, now let's take a look at what we see here. Italian and Romanian usage of the word Romeo or Romeo. And whoops, we can't do that. Here we go. Italian and Romanian form of the late Latin Romanius or late Greek, which meant from Rome. Ooh. And Alpha Romeo or Alfa Romeo is, and because I just showed you what was there at the Vatican Square, the Wheel of Shamash, what do you see on the Alfa Romeo automobile emblem? That's right, folks, a freaking serpent with a crown on its head. And who do you think that they're talking about? But now, I want to show you that Alfa Romeo is actually now telling you to embrace Enki, the Anunnaki return, because that's exactly what I do believe the commercial is telling us when it says to us, embrace type A. Type A. Are they talking about a blood type? Could very well be. And do you know why I believe that's the case? Let's listen to the video and you'll hear it for yourself, folks. Here we go. The Alfa Romeo commercial that we have been waiting for.
Ambition lives in our DNA. Competition coursing through our veins.
Talking about DNA, we just looked at the Seattle Space Needle and they were showing you the frickin' DNA strand. He's talking about competition coursing through your veins. Talking about blood types. We're talking about blood. What do they say at the end of the movie that gives you the clue that they're talking about a blood type, which, because the whole logo that's on the Alfa Romeo is nothing but a serpent with a crown on its head, and let's just analyze the logo of Alfa Romeo and everything that he has just been saying about coursing through your veins, about DNA, and embrace type A. Type A. Anunnaki. Enki. The return. I've just been showing you all about the golden age of man. I've, not in this video, but in other videos, I have been showing you that shit is about ready to get real, folks. Shit is about to get real. And these are just some of the clues that this is all coming about. It's all coming about, and I know it. The Vatican is doing weird crap with the Serpent building, right? Enki, Serpent of the Brotherhood of the Snake. The movie Noah, the serpent. I mean, what more would I have to show you to prove to you some crazy crap is about ready to start going down? So let's keep listening.
Consuming us with a need to thrive.
So, isn't it interesting how the Babylonian tablets present Enki as half man, half serpent? And the Alfa Romeo logo is a man coming out of the serpent. And the serpent has a crown on its head. Are they trying to say, just like I've been telling you about the pyramid with the all-seeing eye, about Enki being the god of the Jews, and of course the Vatican has been knowing exactly who the god of the Jews really has been? Do you think that their library down there doesn't hold thousands of clues beyond anything that I could ever present to you? Of course it does. And they know what the truth is. And the truth is that they've been telling you with things just like this. And if we keep listening and watching,
To thrive. It's just part of who we are.
part of who we are, huh? Type A. And I'm telling you, talking about the blood, talking about the DNA, talking about showing you the serpent, showing you that the serpent is king. The Vatican is showing you that they are now venerating the serpent. They have been showing you they've been venerating the god Shamash with the Shamash wheel. And as I've already showed you, Shamash is none other than Saturn, Cronus, Enki, Ra, El, Cain. All one and the same. So as I'm telling you now, folks, is that they are flaunting it in your face. The sun disk wheel, the Target store. Who do they venerate? The circumpunct. That is the emblem of the Egyptian god Ra. Ra is Cronus, is Saturn, is El, is Enki, is Cain. Okay? If Enki is indeed some visitor in ancient times who visited this earth, okay? Visited this earth. And just like the tablets tell us that there were different gods, there were two god lines. Let me just stop right there for a moment and let me remind you of this. Do you remember how I presented to you that at the Hoover Dam there is a public broadcast, or there is a commentator, or whatever the guy is who does his little spiel talking about the star map is all about the possibility of aliens returning, and there were two constellations right there mentioned, Thuban and the constellation Orion. Thuban is what? Draco, Alpha Draconis. The Anunnaki being from the constellation Draco, and the Agigi gods being from the constellation Orion. That's why there are two constellations mentioned in the star map at the Hoover Dam. That's why the Agigi are depicted as these feathered humanoid individuals. That's the reason why the Hoover Dam has the two angelic beings that are sitting on a black cube. And that pole goes straight up to the pole star. That is the pole star pole right there. So, what I'm trying to tell you is this, is that I do believe there's going to be some return of this god, or let's not even call him a god. Let's call him for what he is. Just like the crop circles were telling us. Do you remember the crop circles that were telling us the binary code of Enki? Then there was the other crop circle telling us to beware of these visitors that are going to be bearing false gifts. And I showed you exactly how they do not, the crop circle was saying, we do not like you being deceived. We don't like these deceivers. The story Childhood's End, the second episode was called Deceivers. And the lady right there in the freaking barn said, "You lied to us. You lied to them. You lied to us all." And what did the guy call the goat-looking alien visitor, the overlord? What did he call him? He said, "I got used to being pals with God." Who the hell do you think that they're talking about here, folks? They're presenting it all for you. This commercial right here is presenting it all for you. All you have to do is open up your eyes and accept that you are being exposed to what's going. They want you to embrace this type A. They want you to embrace the fact that Enki's returning, the Serpent King, the Serpent God, the whatever you want to call him. And I find it very interesting that because he is associated this Brotherhood of the Snake, it makes very good sense that why I say Marduk Osiris is the Alpha and the Omega. He is part serpent and he's part feathered deity. What was Quetzalcoatl depicted as? Part serpent, part bird, the plumed serpent. He was part Agigi. He was part Alpha Draconis. He was part serpent. So these draconian or these, what are they depicting him as? What is the Vatican depicting this sucker as? Right here. Depicting him as this serpent-like frickin' man thing. Whatever it is, this looks like some kind of dragon human of some kind. Wouldn't you agree? Is this all making sense to you all? I hope so. And I'm going to leave you all with that. I think this has went on long enough, and I've tried to explain to you all. Something's coming. They're telling you. They're showing you. Project Bluebeam? Really? As I said once before, there was no Project Bluebeam when they were writing all these tablets all across the world, from Babylonian, Akkadian, Assyrian, Sumerian, the Canaanite Ugaritic texts. How about the writing of the Egyptians? Did the Egyptians make up the fact that they were being visited by these gods and how they were associated with this sun wheel? Osiris, Isis. How about the fact that the Sumerians talk about that there were two different godly or two different races of gods, and they called them by their name, the Agigi and the Anunnaki? What were these visitors, folks? Who were the Atlanteans in? Very interesting that if you look at it this way, okay? Poseidon, he was said to be the king of Atlantis. Well, Thoth was in the Egyptian pantheon, because remember, Poseidon and Neptune are in two pantheons. Neptune being what? That's right, the Roman. And Poseidon in the Greek, right? They're both one and the same. And they're both called the king of Atlantis. Thoth, being in an Egyptian pantheon, he was called Thoth the Atlantean. So now we're getting the idea that these individuals, these Atlanteans, what were they? Were they the Naga serpent race that Burma and India were talking about so very long ago? It makes sense. It makes sense that, as I showed you, that Quetzalcoatl of South America, half Agigi, half serpent, half bird, half serpent, plume serpent. I am the Alpha and I am the Omega. I am the Alpha blood type because my father was an Alpha Draconis, a serpent reptilian individual, and my mother, the Agigi, who is from the constellation Orion, who I take after because I follow in my mother's bloodline. I am an Agigi god. So I am of the Omega blood type. And what's the shape of the Omega sign? Oh, isn't it the exact same shape as the Osiris hat? Yes, the crescent horseshoe looking thing. So there's something that I want to leave you with and I want everybody to ponder this and think about this very, very carefully. If there has been indications, let's take a look at the in Atlanta, the Guidestones, the Georgia Guidestones, talking about how that there was going to be a reduction in mankind. Okay, 500 million to perpetuity. Okay, so that's one clue. Then you have a website like Deagle.com that has been projecting that all of the countries that mainly comprise of the white race are going to be decimated by the year 2025. Okay, I want you to think about something here for a second. Would you say that there's a possibility that the politicians of these countries, even the United States, have known what is going to take place? They've made a deal with the devil. They've made a deal with the devil to save their own asses. And hey, while they're being saved, and you're going to be freaking, you're going to be demolished, because I do believe that the one specific race on this earth that is out of place is the white race. I'm white. Okay, I'm O negative. I do believe that the whole purpose of the demolishing in the flood story was to demolish what the gods had created in the white race. And you notice how Enki, El, Cronus, Saturn, all one and the same, how they saved, or he saved, one specific individual. Noah, Zithithris, Ziazudra, Atrahasis, Utnapishtim, they're all one and the same, that they were saved because he was white. The extra biblical books of the legends of the Jews tell us that Noah was a white individual whose eyes, or he was white as snow, and his eyes lit up the room. And the father of Noah actually went to go search out to find out if he was truly the father of Noah, because he looked like he had the skin of the gods. It is my belief that that is going to be coming around again, where they are going to be demolishing the white race. And are these politicians who've made a deal with the devil trying to be the new Noah? Are they trying to save their ass? But if that's the case, then what are they going to do when they're still in power and we're all getting wiped off the map? Well, of course, they're bringing in all kinds of individuals from other countries who aren't white, aren't they? Mexican, Muslim, Somalian, whatever that they're bringing from all of these different countries, they're bringing into the United States, that they're bringing into some of these other countries, like Europe, like they were bringing into Germany. You see that they were coming from Syria. They're coming out through Turkey. They're coming from all over the place. So I ask you, ponder this. If the white race is... How can I best explain it to you? Where I'm not trying to freak everybody out and saying, you know what, expect us to be wiped off the map. I'm just saying the possibilities are there. The evidence is there. The history of that happening is there. The activities of these politicians kind of supplanting us as Americans, telling us, oh, you know what, you don't matter anymore. Who we bring into this country now matters. The money that we give them, the educations that we give them, all of that. And look at how we're being treated now. And now all of a sudden there's an attack on the white race. They're telling you that white privilege, white this, white that, you're scum, you're nothing now. There is an attack going on and you haven't even seen it. But the attack's going to get worse, folks. the attack's going to get worse. And I can almost bet you that these individuals have made a deal with the devil. And when I say the devil, when I'm talking about Saturn, Cronus, and I know it's weird because you're saying, well, wait a minute, Inky saved the white race. No, he saved one specific one and his family. Okay. While all the rest of the offspring of the gods, these Beni Ha Elohim, having sex with the B blood type, or the beta humans. These gods were having sex with the beta humans, and they were producing offspring, the Rh negative bloodline. That's why there's only 15% of Rh negative on this planet. Why do you think the governments have been keeping tabs on through 23andMe or all of these other DNA websites, and they've been keeping track of all of your guys' DNA? They want to know if you're Rh negative. They want to know if you're AB positive or AB negative. They want to know all of these things. Why? For the reasons why I'm telling you. That there is... we happen to be that offspring. We happen to be the remnants of that offspring where, oh, you would think, hey, didn't they all get decimated with the flood? Oh, you would think, wouldn't you? But no, they didn't. And so now you have a government who's keeping tabs on all the Rh negative. You have a government who is now all of a sudden, and it's not even all of a sudden, the past few years, white privilege. The white race is terrible. You're scum for all that you've done to other races in the past. You could go look at other countries and what they've done to what Egypt did in the past with their slaves, and what other countries did with their slaves, and we could go on with this forever. And now all of a sudden, it's the white race is the terrible race. Well, that's exactly how it was in the days of Noah. The white race, or the offspring, if you will, was the bad guys. Is the white race the offspring of the gods with mankind? Are we the out of place race on this earth? And which, you know what? I know there's more to it than just that, because of this fact, is that when you can, okay, if you're to look at a dog species or even a rabbit or whatever, and if you're looking to look at their blood type, you're only going to see one blood type. Only one. Why is it the human race has 4 different blood types? 3 actually, but 2 conjoined, as I already said, the A and the B, the AB together. And I already explained to you in this video how that came to be. So why is it that there are multiple blood types when it comes to the human race? Why, if we're white and we may just be the offspring of the union of the gods and the beta humans, why is it that the whites have multiple blood types? Why do they have all 4 blood types? Why is that? I don't have the answers to all those questions. But what I'm telling you is that be prepared. I know. This is... A lot of times when I make my videos, I go by feeling. And when I feel that there is... the Vatican is up to shenanigans, when I feel that your very own politicians are up to shenanigans, when I feel that these corporations who venerate secretly these ancient visitors or gods are up to shenanigans, the United Nations, the Great Reset, movies telling us that the golden age of man is now upon us. When I go back to the Nazi Germany and how they were preparing the Aryan nation for... They were preparing. They knew that something bad was coming. They knew that they had to prepare their Nazi children for the return of this ancient visitor in the age of Aquarius. That was what the Black Sun Society was about. That's what the Thule Society was about. Was about preparing them for the return of the visitor in the age of Aquarius. Folks, we are in that age of Aquarius. I know that something is coming. I can feel it. When it's going to happen? Is it going to be September 11th, 2023? Is it going to start right then? And by the year 2025, just like Teagle.com presented, and they said, we're not responsible for any of the information we provide. We're going by blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. Folks, you just don't project that 270, well, 280, 290. Oh, now they're saying that 100 million people are going to make it. That's 220 million people that they're projecting to be dead in the United States by the year 2025. That's not something that you just statistically speaking, that's how it's going to happen. Bullshit. You're getting your information from somewhere. We're seeing all the clues. I've presented everything for you. I want you to ponder exactly what I've been saying and think about that. All right, everybody. Now I'm done.